another problem that this demonstrates, I think, is, the heavy reliance we increasingly have on the courts to deal with these issues.
Right.
If we had a robust democratic conversation, the appropriate place for that is in the legislature.
Right.
The legislature should be the place where there is a broad representative group of opinions, where people from the different traditions come together under a structure of a democratic, liberal democratic environment that reflects the pluralism of the society, and where some of these things can be hashed out politically and these compromises are going to be made. I mean, clearly, in a pluralistic society, there will be compromises. So that's one point. The second point that Father Hare makes, I think, is really important too, is that if you are going to be a religious organization or religious institution and function and take government money, then you are going to be part of that give and take in the conversation. So one of the other questions that's looming here is, what is the relationship between religious institutions and the state?
Right.
How do you negotiate that relationship? And again, I go back to my earlier point, different democratic societies have negotiated in different ways, but we really, I don't think, have come to a good understanding in this country, and now I'll just refer back to Kathy's point. Our constitutional and legal traditions do not deal well with groups.
Right.
Or with collectivities. Our tradition in the United States is heavily focused on the individual, always has been. Individual conscience, individual rights, individual freedom, liberty, liberty, liberty. In an individual sense, I mean, why do we see, we see the kind of political dynamic that creates really across the spectrum, be it on social issues or economic issues, this individualistic view that does not comport very well with religious traditions that see the collective as very important, that talk about the common good, that see community as essential to the wholeness of an individual. So we're always bumping up against, I think, increasingly, particularly from the perspective of Catholic institutions, which have had a tradition of having much more connected relationships to the states of which they had been traditionally a part. The American environment is kind of weird for Catholics. I mean, it's not an environment that traditionally worked for the Catholic model. And so now we're starting to work out some of those problems now that we, Catholics, particularly since we run so many institutions, are much, more important part of the conversation.